at all you're going to write a proposal in the field of literature. Now, one, you need to have the topic. This is the title of your research. Basically, you need to have it because this is what entails the whole research study. And where are you going to generate the topic? It is from the statement of the problem. So, number two, it is a statement of the problem. Now, the statement of the problem, it comes from what is it that you want to research on, or rather, what is the research gap? Something that you feel that it needs to be looked at in the area of your research. For instance, now, take for example, if you feel like a text has not addressed the issue of, let's take for instance the contemporary issues that are happening right now. For instance, like poverty, we have diseases, yeah. We also have, of course, the issue of corruption. How has the text addressed that issue? And how do you feel that needs, or what do you feel that needs to be changed? Now, I move on to the next thing, as I'll explain on. We have the research objective. Now, from the statement of the problem also, we get the research objective and also the research questions, which are also generated from the research objective. Another thing, element 5, we need to have your significance of the study. What will this research help with? What will it benefit? Yes, will it add knowledge? Will the research help for the other authors who are going to formulate their work? Are they going to change their work in order to help in that, filling that gap? And also, will it also benefit the society? Because remember, literature comes from the society itself. The other thing, it is the limitation of the study. What is the study being limited with? And in most cases, this is tricky because you cannot talk of more. You cannot just talk of time, of resources. After all, why are you researching on? That is not a limitation of the study. Yeah, some of the limitation of the study, maybe you can be looking at, in my area of research, I find that as much as it has been looked at, because of course you're not the first person in most cases, yes, but in only that you divert, you take it in a different angle, and that's why you get the statement of the problem. But now, in your limitation of the study, you try and argue. Now, maybe for instance, now some of the content that you're trying to get from, maybe take for instance, maybe you thought of going to the field, and maybe the research participants, they're not giving you much information that you might need for your research. Yeah, so that is the limitation of the study. So now another thing, number 6, it is the literature review. You need a literature review to base your study on. Yes, and then finally, it is the research methodology. What is the method that you're going to use for your research study? Yes, is it going to be a textual analysis whereby you just analyze it based from the text, or are you going to go to the field? Yeah, and it might be both qualitative and quantitative analysis. Now, let me pick an example based from my own thesis that I did for my PhD. My study was on male identity in African feminist texts as addressed by 2 female writers and 2 male writers. Why did I pick that topic? For my statement of the problem, I looked at it in this way. Despite feminist writers trying to address the issue of gender, there is a negligence, or rather, male identity has not well been addressed in these African feminist texts. And some of the texts that I used, River and the Source, yeah, therein, if you have read that text by Margaret Ogola, you find more characters that have been represented female as opposed to the male characters. And one of the objective was the under-presentation or the under-representation of male characters in African feminist text. So that was a good example for it. And another thing I also looked at masculinity, the issue of masculinity, whereby the men are supposed to behave in a certain way because they are masculine. Yes. So a good text is Joys of Motherhood by Buchi Emecheta. So basically that was my research study that I did for my PhD. Now, when you look at literature review has to align with the area of your study. You cannot take a research study that has been done by somebody that is not part of your research study in order to gain, to give it more strength or emphasis. For research methodology, that one I've mentioned, mine was purely in the library, so it was textual analysis, whereby I had to analyze the 4 texts and apart from that, align them with the theories. Actually, that is another thing that I forgot, sorry. For the theoretical framework, yes, you need the theoretical framework in chapter 1, or depending with your university, it can be chapter 1, it can be chapter 2, the theoretical framework. In literature studies, you cannot do a study without a theory because it is using the theory, or it is from the theory that you're able to analyze it deeply or get an in-depth analysis. And I think that one I addressed in one of the videos down below. So basically that is an outline of what you need for your research proposal. So if you're stuck, please, I would urge you to just start with your research proposal and start as I've worked according to the steps that I've given you. And in that way, at least you'll have, even if it's not even a complete proposal, at least a concept paper that you can actually present it to your supervisor, and he or she gives you a go ahead to go on with your research proposal as the next step. Otherwise, thank you and see you on the next video. Kindly subscribe and share.